Well, I'm Tony Trongone, Superintendent of Millville Public Schools, here to provide you with an update from our most recent board meeting held Monday, March 22nd. And I'll put this to the side. And reopening of schools to in-person learning. So Monday, March 22nd, for those students that are reporting to school in-person learning, the high school, they'll report now 4 days a week. That started Monday, March 22nd. Along with the remainder of our special ed population, which is about another 206 students in the special ed area. Also, students with a 504 plan on a case-by-case basis also would go back 4 days a week. There was an issue with substitutes for people who are out, and so we've been working on that. We've had an improvement in that area. Plexiglass for classrooms. So when we look at bringing more kids in, we'll have to put in barriers, plexiglass barriers. Also, more HEPA air filtration systems. And they were already in the classrooms, but now we're putting them in office areas where anywhere where there's more than one person in a room. And then also a vaccination outreach program to staff. We're working with the governor's office. We're working with the county Department of Health. And that's coming along now. It was obviously slow beginning, but it's starting to take movement now. So we're happy about that. And then also our Rich Davidson, our business administrator, along with Ryan Cruzan, our director of facilities, walk with the Teachers Association just to make sure and put everybody at peace of mind of what the buildings are as far as function with air quality, and just going around and making sure everything's okay. And nothing's perfect, but at least we know if something isn't working, we'll get it fixed right away. And now I always like to talk about this story over time. So a year ago, and by the way, blue is Cumberland County, and then that orange yellow color is the state. So March 16th, the governor closed schools last year, and then they extended it all the way up to the end of the school year. And then we were planning on coming back, but we didn't have proper PPE to bring kids back. And then October 13th, we did bring kids back for in-person learning. That was a full day hybrid, which was orange and blue groups. And then on November 16th, we brought back our preschool kids 4 days a week, and also a certain segment of our special ed population 4 days a week. Then we met with the county office and then the Department of Health in Cumberland County, and they said the numbers were spiking to go back to virtual learning. We did on November 30th up until February 15th. You can see the data that's with that yellow block there. And then on the February 16th, we went back to in-person learning where we left off, where it was pre-K and special ed full days a week, along with the hybrid orange and blue models for our kids. And then again, as I mentioned earlier, this past Monday, March 22nd, our high school went to 4 days a week. So they combined the orange and the blue, along with the remaining population of special ed students. And then on April 19th, a week after we come back from break, the plan is to have all students coming back 4 days a week, 4 full days. That is the plan. And we are aware of the CDC change in social distance guidelines from 6 feet to 3 feet. But as of this taping, there hasn't been any delineation of guidelines from the Department of Health in the state. And so we're waiting to receive guidance from the state on that. Other news, we have what's called ESSER 1 fund allocations. And so that's the federal government money from the summertime that we received. And it tells you when we can use that money. But mostly we bought a lot of educational technology, laptops, hardware, software, and connectivity. And then this past December, there was called ESSER 2 funds. And that's going to address our learning loss among students. There's other areas you can spend the money, but a predominant amount of the money will be spent towards a learning loss program for our students over the summer. But also the inspection of our facilities, they're all working, but to update them to improve the air quality in the schools. And also this is another bullet in the plan for ESSER, and we call it developing and implementing procedures and systems. And it's pretty much looking at class size to offset any type of reaction to a spike in any COVID numbers. So let's talk about the learning loss among students. It'll be a summer program. It'll be in person, 20 days, which is 5 weeks, 4 days a week. Obviously, it'll be academic based, but also we want to make it fun for the kids. So there will be enrichment activities, and then it'll be for 2 summers. It'll be for this summer and next summer. And Dr. Moore will be providing the Board of Education with an update of that summer program at the April Board of Ed meeting, April 26th. In regard to air quality, so we want to update our infrastructure in regard to air quality. It's called HVAC. It's heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. And so we want to update that. So we have an engineer who put forth a scope of work at Silver Run and Holly Heights, and we might be doing more than those 2 schools in the future. Again, upgrade because they're already working. And our business administrator, Rich Davidson, is leading this item. And then that last one was implementing procedures and systems. And I have this trapezoid here, which means that the lower grades, 3 and 4-year-olds, kindergarten, first grade, we want to have a lower class size. So currently the Child Family Center is capped at 15 students per class, but there isn't a existing class size cap in subsequent grades. And we want to develop that and build a resiliency plan. So no matter what happens with COVID, at least the younger kids can come in every day. And that will be for 2 years. And we have to analyze our enrollment. We have to analyze how many classrooms we need. We have to look at the staffing and also create class size a cap that mitigates the need to split the cohorts into orange and blue in the same homeroom. We would like to keep the kids all together 5 days a week. That's the goal. So how many students per class? That's going to have to be determined by Dr. Moore and the principals. Also, how many staff will be needed. And then how far do we go up? We know as 3 and 4-year-olds are already at capped at 15. We go kindergarten and second and third. It depends upon what we can afford through the federal grants. So, and we have to do it for 2 years. So that's something that'll be investigated, and stay tuned for an update on that. And again, Dr. Moore and the K-5 principals will lead this effort. Also, the administrative team has been participating in professional development and teacher observation, the process of it. And then the Department of Ed is applying for a waiver to opt out of state assessment for this spring. Right now, we still have to test kids through the state from May 3rd to June 11th. And the state said to prepare for contingencies just in case their waiver with the federal government is not met with approval. But we also know that we have a pretty robust local assessment system. And so the Department of Ed is asking us for that data. What do we do every day with kids? Our daily classroom assessments. But we also have DIBELS, we have Exact Path. We have a lot of different assessments that we do each and every day that are not state assessments. And so Dr. Moore and her team are working on a submission of that data to the state, let them know the progress of our students. And also, they only want the information between November 16th and February 19th. Don't ask me why, but that's what they're requiring. And it needs to be broken down in 3 levels: below, on, or above grade level. And we have to submit this data by April 16th of this year. And again, the data that we submit will help us in our waiver for state assessment, where if we have a robust, the state of New Jersey has to prove that we have a robust assessment system internally in each school district, so they could grant us the waiver. Now, it's not Millville that's putting in the waiver, it's New Jersey that's putting in the waiver with Washington, D.C., the federal government. Security drills, really important to me. So we had security drills at Lakeside and Child Family Center. Larry Mulford, our security chief, and Jimmy Groen, the assistant, are running these. And so we not only look at the drill, we actually include teachers in the drill so they can see how the school goes into a lockdown or a shelter in place and what we need to do to improve it. And it was pretty eye-opening about the procedures, but also the need for teachers to share how we went into a lockdown or a shelter in place with their colleagues so we can do a better job. Because ultimately it's about human behavior in regard to going into these security drills. Also, yeah, they went to Child Family Center, and we had the high school this week, and we'll have all our schools in an evaluation before the close of the school year. And then also projects. So we have two vestibules, one at Silver Run and one at Lakeside Middle School. So we'll have like the double entry. So you buzz to get in, and then you would have to get buzzed in a second set of doors to get into the school. That's nothing new. It's in a lot of schools already. And we're also looking to outfit a security crisis response room that'll have cameras that are all networked and also communication tools, so we could do a good job of handling any type of crisis if one would happen. Also, the Ed Law Center and Emergent and Capital project. So Millville is a former Abbott district, now called an SDA district, and we get represented by the Education Law Center, and they're going to order the state to seek and secure new funding for projects for schools. So we should get those projects done for free. Millville should, and Governor Murphy has not funded this company called the School Development Authority to keep on with projects. So the high school project will get done, but then any other projects that we need, there's no money. So they're going to have a lawsuit against the Law Center to make sure school districts like Millville will get funding to complete any type of emergent projects. Like it could be a bad roof, it could be heating and air conditioning. It could be anything as far as a major project that should be paid for by the state. And this lawsuit should begin during the spring. And then the person who is in charge of the Ed Law Center has been there for over 30 years. He has asked me to head all the superintendents in New Jersey that are former Abbott districts in our fight to get this funding. His name is David Shire. Now, I always put an update on student achievement. So this is longitudinal. Excuse me, this is Lakeside Middle School, English Language Arts. And so the gold is the state average and the blue is Millville. And you combine 6th, 7th, and 8th grade passing scores. So you can see that Millville has lagged behind the state average for quite some time. And actually it's gotten a little wider. This is for language arts. And the red line is there because in those first 3 years, it was NJ Ask assessment, and they changed the assessment to PARC. Now it's called NJ SLA. So you can see that the test got more difficult, but we still have a gap in regard to the state average. Millville does have a gap. The next slide is math. And so this is Millville grades 6th, 7th, and 8th, and then you have the state average for 6th, 7th, and 8th. And you can see that the gap is widening in mathematics for the last 5 years. So we have our work cut out for us to improve in these areas. Now, it's not the be all end all, but it's actually it's one of our goals to improve student achievement. But also I talked about the structure of the district. So we have assistant superintendent. I want to have an assistant superintendent for secondary, and then an executive director for special ed and student services, and then just a director for human resources. So in this slide here, you can see that we have an assistant superintendent now, and that person's in charge of all that's in yellow. And what I'm doing is trying to have a zero-sum game where we didn't have to hire anybody, but just move people around so I have more of a structure by level: pre-K 5, 6 to 12, special services, and so forth. So I'll put that assistant superintendent in the pre-K 5, and that assistant superintendent will have 3 supervisors, and then also she'll supervise the supervisor for assessment and RTI. And then also that person will oversee the grant coordinator for the district, and then also the 21st Century Club. And then we also have a tech specialist to help with teaching and learning in this world we're living in now with COVID. I'll just plug this in. Then we go into the secondary level. So Mount Pleasant has a retirement for principals. So we had a principal that was at Culver. That principal will move over and fill that position over at Mount Pleasant. That frees funding up so I can have a assistant superintendent for secondary schools. And then we have existing supervisor, a department head that will become a curriculum supervisor, is currently at the high school. And then another department head. And then also there's a supervisor paid through a grant at Lakeside. And then there's the supervisor for health and phys ed, and also that person's an athletic director. And then we have a director of special services. And so they would have a dedicated special ed supervisor for K-5 and for 6-12. And then also the director of special services will oversee guidance. And then what I did was we had went a little quickly here, but we had a assistant superintendent for HR. And so that position will be downgraded to a director. So we would still just have 2 assistant superintendents. We're not going to increase assistant superintendents. So that'll be a director. And then this position is a new position, anything in red, and that's going to be paid through the ESSER funds, federal funds for 2 years. That's a tech specialist. And then that director would oversee the human resources department. And then with those ESSER funds, that also would pay for a media / technology person to help in the district. So all said and done with all these changes, there's the only change you have as far as, well, there's a lot of changes, but as far as any additions, it'll be the tech specialist and the media / IT person in regard to funding. Other than that, we try to keep it as much as possible from a revenue cost neutral perspective. And I hope that people understand this. We have to improve our student achievement. We have to work on our security. We have to look at oversight. We're doing a lot of great things. There's a lot of good people here in Millville. But again, if you'd see, I'll just bring it up, like the Super Bowl, you'd see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had a great team already. And then when they got organized in a certain way, obviously they brought Tom Brady in. I'm not Tom Brady, but all of a sudden they win the Super Bowl. So I think we have a Super Bowl team here. It's just that if we put ourselves in a certain organization, we'll have a winning outcome. And so that's my update for today, March 23rd. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to my office. Thank you.